Right. Good evening and welcome to the Cutler Bay Candidates Forum. My name is Tom Condon. I'll be acting as moderator. My wife will review questions submitted by the audience, and Steve Zarzecki is our cameraman. So this forum is unique because it's not sponsored by any organization but by the candidates themselves. The format of this forum and the order of how the questions will be asked, will be answered, has been agreed upon by all the candidates. And first we're going to have the forum for seat 3, followed by the forum for the mayoral candidates. Please silence your cell phones if you haven't already. And we have, for seat 3, we have 3 candidates. Roger Coriat, the incumbent, Yunior Santana, and Maggie Soriano. We have invited all of the candidates to participate. We have not heard from Maggie Soriano, and at the last minute there was a work conflict with Yunior Santana, so he will not be able to attend. But his wife will be making a statement. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and start yeah, you may want to turn.
Hello?
You can each have your own microphone.
Can you hear me?
So.
Okay, I guess we do a seat.
Right, you have 3 minutes. You can.
Good. Well, good night, and my name is Janine Gaslone. I'm Junior Santana's wife. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to attend this meeting, but we want to thank Coriat and also Mr. Tom and Barbara for their civic involvement. We believe they're an example to follow. This is really impressive to be able to pull an event like this one for this type of campaign. Well, Yunior would like to offer his apologies, of course, because he wasn't able to be here, and as you know, many of you will know that he's the manager of the Manuel Artem Theater, which is a property from the city of Miami, and at this time he's trying to fix some last minute issues that they have a big event and he couldn't leave downtown on time, so that's why I decided to come and make a statement on his behalf. So all of you here will hear where is his platform for this campaign. So now I'm gonna read his opening statement on his behalf. I'm a firm believer that in this day and age, with the technology at our disposal, government should be on demand, bringing government to you on your terms. You are the government. Government should be streamlined and allow the input of all its constituents, not only those that can attend the meetings. Through my experience with nonprofits and working for government entities, I have gained knowledge and deep understanding of some of the shortfalls of government. In every position I have held, I have always strived to improve the system, even when the wheel has already been invented. I am proud of changes I have made to a multitude of companies that streamline their procedures, thereby increasing their profit, customer service, community engagement, and reliability. Government has stayed in the dark age for far too long. And I will push to create a government that will reach its constituents on demand. The sole purpose of government is to act on behalf of its constituents, and that means every voice should be heard by any means necessary. Some of his campaign promises are: public official accountability. Constituents should be able to know what are you doing for them in an open way. Re-election. He will not fund a campaign for re-election. His re-election will depend on his accomplishments or failures, not on more promises. Government on demand. He will work to bring more involvement between the government and the people. We are in an age, but government has stayed behind. Creation of a veterans committee, which we think is very important, and we will work towards streamlining the city council meetings. And work to create some type of campaign finance reform where we'll try to avoid special interest on elections. In closing, I want to bring fresh ideas to a stagnant government where we all can have a valid input and move our city towards a prosperous future. I want to make this city the blueprint that other cities will look for in excellence of service and communication. So basically, this is his statement. Me as his wife supporting him. I'm also a public servant. I work for the Transportation Planning Organization for the Miami-Dade County, and I'm continually working towards the improvement of the transportation of our city and bringing more opportunities so we can help the city to become what it's supposed to be. We're raising our family. We have 2 little girls, and we are very proud to be part of this community. So thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, that's the timeout buzzer. All right.
Thank you for coming. I hope in the future you decide to run for office one day. So, my name is Roger Coriat. I am currently the council member for District 3 of the town of Cutler Bay. I was elected 4 years ago, and it's been an honor to represent the town in these last 4 years. Now, those of you that know me or have seen me at events, in meetings, have listened to the audio of our meetings, some people do that, I know, a few. You may have noticed that I don't brag about myself. I don't like the spotlight. When we have meetings and the mayor asks who'd like to say something, I usually have to be coerced into saying, thank you all for coming, and you're not here to listen to me. These last few months have been hard for me. I've spent these last few months begging for attention, saying, look at me, take my sign, like me on Facebook, answer my email, learn my name, pay attention to me. I am very much out of character doing this sort of thing. But I'm doing it because I want to make sure that the hard work that I and my fellow council have put into this town in the 4 years I've been there and in the years before my time are recognized. There are many criticisms about our town, and many of them are justified. We have good days, we have bad days. And I'll tell you this, we have a lot of big, long-term goals for this town. But when you have that pothole in front of your driveway, and you're hitting that every morning with your tire as you go to work, you could care less about our 10-year vision and what we're doing for wetland restoration or whether the Metro Rail is coming to South Dade or not. At that moment, all you need is that pothole filled. And you send an email to your council member or to the town manager. And it might be an angry email. And you might say some things that you don't exactly mean at the moment. But the point is, we get those emails, we get those messages, we hear that, and we respond. When I moved to this town, there was a construction site across from my house, and it was a disaster. Every day, garbage was left out. The workers were leaving just an absolute mess. After my second flat tire driving over something, I had enough. I took a picture of that tire with a big metal wire sticking out of it, and I sent it to the mayor at the time, to Mayor McDougal. And I said, can you do something? Within 48 hours, I had a response from the mayor, I had a response from the manager, and the next day, Public Works was checking that work site. And it was spotless for the remainder of the project. And I thought, well, that's nice. This is the way it's supposed to be. So I started paying attention. I started going to meetings when something on the agenda aroused my curiosity. As a teacher, anything dealing with education interested me. As an environmentalist, anything dealing with preservation appealed to me. Eventually, I joined a committee. I was on the Education Advisory Committee. And at one point, someone said, have you ever thought about running for office? And I said, well, I'm thinking about it now. So I went to even more meetings, and I stayed sometimes till midnight, till 1 a.m., just listening to them go at it. And I wondered sometimes, do I have the stomach for this? I don't like fighting, I don't like being angry, I don't like conflict. I fight for what I believe in, but I don't make it personal. So I ran, and now here I am. And now I want to do it for 4 more years. And I want to end by saying this. Town governance is hard work. You have to show up. Whether it's an emergency meeting, whether it's a resident that needs that pothole filled right now, you have to show up. You have to let people know that you are committed to this. With all due respect to your husband, I understand. I understand. You can make time. Thank you.
All right, thank both of you. At this point, we're going to take questions that were submitted by the audience to Mr. Coriat. You will have 2 minutes to answer. We'll give you maybe a little liberty.
No.
A little less.
A little
Sorry,
less,
I went over
okay.
last time. I'll be more
All right.
concise.
Okay.
We're being flexible here.
Right. Civility seems to have been lost in our politics as of late at many levels. As a council member, what importance do you place on maintaining a good working relationship with fellow council members, even when on opposite sides of a heated issue? What specifically would you do to
Be civil.
be civil in our town and in our government?
All right. This is actually something I spoke about 4 years ago when I was first running. I believe civil discourse, let me stand up, I'm sorry. Civil discourse is essential. There's 5 of us on this council, and we are all very different people. And after this election, it'll be a different dynamic altogether. We come from different backgrounds, we have different ideologies, we have different priorities for the town. We all get passionate about events, about issues, and occasionally that passion gets the better of us. I am proud to say that in the 4 years, that I've been on the council, the 5 of us have been almost always cordial to one another. There have been some hiccups along the way, but to me the most important thing is you can't take it personally when it comes to civility. You can't disagree with someone on the dais and then hold it against them when it's something that they want to support and you happen to be against. You have to separate them. Each resolution, each ordinance is its own thing. You can't hold grudges. I teach high school. I have 30, 35, 17 and 18-year-olds in my classroom at a time. I see plenty of incivility. I see plenty of bombs that have to be defused. So, yes, I have that experience. I have an 8-year-old daughter. I have a 1-month-old baby. And he's already making some noises. And it tests, it tests your resolve. It tests the person you are. Can you separate one thing from another? So to me, civility is essential. I think one thing I'll say about that, more specific to things we have discussed as a council, is that whether or not I support a certain resolution, if I am on the losing side of that vote, and I've been the 1 on a 4-1 vote, I've been the 2 on a 3-2 vote, I've been just about every combination you can think of. If it passes, whether I voted no, I need to support it. That's my responsibility as a council member. We need to be united in supporting the decisions of the council, the will of the council once that decision's been made.
All right, next question from our audience.
I'm supposed to get like a 3-minute break while somebody else talks. It's okay, it's okay.
We can
I got this.
have some.
No, I can do this.
That's rapid fire.
No problem.
So, what is your vision for the 2 major traffic corridors of Old Cutler Road and US 1, where large-scale development is imminent?
For Old Cutler Road, let me separate the 2 because they are very different types of roads. And I think our vision for them should not be part of the same overall goals. About 1.5 years ago, I propose a resolution asking the manager to investigate open properties on Old Cutler Road for the possibility of the town purchasing them. Now, that was amended to include properties throughout the entire town, which I was happy to agree to that amendment, and the study went through. The result of that study was a lot of property owners that weren't interested, a handful that were, but were asking an inordinate amount for what a town like ours could afford, and a few prospects, a few genuine prospects. Ultimately, that led to, I grant you, a controversial bond resolution that was passed by the council back in the spring. And we sent it to the residents for a vote. It lost that vote, narrowly, but it lost. And like I said before, this is something we have to abide by. We stand by it. Did I support the bond? Absolutely. But did I learn from it? Absolutely. If this kind of thing, this kind of opportunity presents itself to us again, I will approach it from a completely different vantage. In brief, I think that Old Cutler Road should maintain its integrity as much as possible. I think that in between the two circles, let's say, between 87th and 97th Avenues, I'd like to see more attractive businesses. I'd like to see a more walkable community, a more golf cart friendly community along that area. I actually went the other day to Rod Bender's to get some takeout, and I walked to the Walgreens to pick up a prescription. And I thought how nice it would be to do more of this, to have people doing this more often. I think we can do it. US wants a whole other can of worms, you know. I am going on, aren't I?
All right, our next question. The funding of campaigns is always a challenge for those running in local races. How would you characterize the source or sources of funding for your campaign? And it's a two-part question. Okay. That's what you need. What portion of your donations are of local, and what portion is from outside sources?
All right, thank you. So, I will say that almost all of my campaign contributions are from residents of Cutler Bay, mostly in denominations between, well, one person gave me $20.18, very clever. He should be here later, actually. He's gonna be your seat one council member, so clever guy. Upwards to $50, $100. One very committed resident gave me a much larger donation than that. I'll tell you, my high school French teacher found out about my campaign and must have sent the word out, because I started getting little checks, $10, $15 from teachers in different parts of the county. And I asked her, do you know these people? She said, oh yeah, those are my friends. I'm like, okay, well thank you. But it has been almost entirely from that. I am very proud to have received support from two PACs, one called Engaged Florida, and one called, I forget what it is, but it's the state senator, Jose Javier Rodriguez, actually made a donation through his PAC to my campaign. And he does represent us, and I consider him a great friend of the town. But yeah, the bulk of my contributions have come from residents of Cutler Bay, from locals. Let me wrap up. I hate to do this, to disparage someone who's not here. My opponent has received a lot more contributions than I have. $500 and $1,000 donations. If you look at his campaign report, you'll see that these are coming from civil engineers, from attorneys, and others, hardly any of which live in Cutler Bay. You see Doral, you see City of Miami, you see Coral Gables. Now, I'm not making any assumptions about the motives behind this, but I wonder why someone would give $1,000 to a candidate in another town. I don't know. I'm sure there's an honest and reasonable explanation for it. It concerns me, though. It does concern me. And I hate that he's not here to defend himself about this. All
right, our next question. should lobbyists and campaign donors that are far removed from Cutler Bay be allowed to help fund our local town campaigns? Would you consider this a best practice, even if legal?
Far removed. All right, let me try to parse this question. First of all, any person who is a vendor, who is or has been a lobbyist in the town of Cutler Bay has no business contributing to any candidate for office in Cutler Bay. That's an easy one. That's an easy question to answer. As far as people who might potentially lobby the town of Cutler Bay, I would err on the side of caution there. I mean, again, if someone were to say, hey, I want to give you $1,000, which is the limit, that's the maximum of what I can receive from any particular donor, I would want to know who they are. I'd want to know, thank you, and why. Not to just out of hand reject it, but to understand what their stake is, what their interest is. And if they tell me, you know what, I've watched you as a council member, I know what you stand for, we represent a group that supports the same things you support, we stand with you on the issues, I'll keep listening. But if they then say, now, I'd like to put your signs on my property, I'd like to do this, then that's when it gets a little fishy. I speak from experience. Someone who will be petitioning the town for one of the zoning applications, and this is not the kind of thing I can divulge here, I'm sorry to tell you, flat out offered me his support in return for mine. And I wondered, where's the hidden mic? Where, who's listening in on this right now? And I'm thinking, is this really happening right now? I said, thank you, I will keep it in mind, it's good to see you again, have a nice day. And my brain made that noise. This is both easier and harder than I thought it was going to be.
We're not going to let you get off that easy. So, here's a nice one here. In what ways will you be able to help stop pollution in Cutler Bay?
Pollution in Cutler Bay. Well, let's look at it from, let's take it from 2 or 3 perspectives. Environmental pollution. I think I was on the council for maybe a month when I was invited to visit the ongoing wetland restoration project of Old Cutler and 184th. I'd driven by it, as many people have, and said, oh, what's this thing? And kept driving. I took a walk, I got attacked by mosquitoes, I got some scratches, and I fell in love with it. I've been there ever since. We have multiple work days throughout the year. I think I may have missed 1 or 2. I've brought my students to take part in that. I'm so proud of it. I gush talking about our ongoing efforts to restore coastal wetlands. Cutler Bay has no access to the bay. We smell it sometimes. I smell that mangrove at night sometimes. We know it's there, but we can't get to it. You gotta go to Black Point. You gotta go up to by Thalada if you wanna see the bay. We can change that. Long-term goal is to expose Cutler Bay to the bay, and that's the place to do it. It's an ongoing challenge. We got a lot of work ahead of us, but I'm proud to be part of that. I think in the town, one of the complaints I hear from folks, I even heard this from a resident last Sunday when I knocked on her door, is how just a few houses down, there was garbage left on the curb for curbside pickup, but it had been sitting there for weeks. And she said, I won't even tell you what house it is, you'll know it when you see it. I smelled it before I saw it, let me tell you. And that's the kind of thing where our code enforcement can be more vigorous. Now, one reality that we work with, and sometimes our residents don't like this answer is that many of our roads are county roads. And maintenance and just general care of these roads is something that the town does not handle. What we do, however, is kind of fast track those things. Another resident, to kind of change the topic from, well, never mind. Will you give me 15 more seconds? Or no? It's okay if you say no.
No, you can finish your sentence.
Okay, I'll say just to change the topic slightly, I had a resident who pointed at his sidewalk and said, this is dangerous, it needs to be fixed, it's torn up. Now he lives on Franjo, which is a county road. But a quick call to our county commissioner's office, and I say, hey, I know you've got a list a mile long of sidewalks to improve, but is there a way maybe, out of your good graces, we could bump this one up a little bit? I'll say it has not been fixed yet, I have noticed, but anyways. You gotta bring like the hook.
Yes, like the gong show.
Exactly.
All right, we're really, we had to change the format a little bit from what we originally were going to do. So we're done right now with the question and answer part of the forum, and you're going to have 3 minutes to do a conclusion.
Let's say a quick story. I'm going to be as fast as I can. The first time I went to Tallahassee as a council member, those trips, by the way, are just a tornado. You're going from one office to another. You got 5 minutes with this legislator, 5 minutes with that one. And at some point, the former vice mayor, Ernie Sochin, some of you may know him, made a comment about how much work this is and how people don't realize how hard council members work. And I said, yeah, it's work, but it's fun. He said, how is this fun? It's work. I said, it can be both. Yes, it's hard work, but I enjoy it. I say the same thing about being a high school teacher. And if you are fortunate enough to have a job you enjoy, well, then it's not a job. It's a passion. It's something you do. That's how I feel about being a council member. And I hope this doesn't sound like hyperbole, but it is true. It is work. It is meetings that run past midnight. It's checking my email several times a day and replying to those less than friendly emails, but saying, I'm sorry for what happened. Here, let me try to help you. It's showing up at events. It's the fun stuff. It's 4th of July. It's wing contests. It's all of that stuff. But it's also arguing over zoning. It's also parsing the details of sign variances, whether this number of square feet is acceptable or not. It's work. But when I see the results of it, when I feel like I'm doing something, like I'm contributing to this town, where I'm giving what I received with that flat tire, when I can give that back to residents, it's more than worth it. It's a pleasure. I wouldn't be standing here asking to do it for 4 more years if it was a burden, if it was just work. Over these 4 years, I have built relationships with state legislators, with county commissioners, with representatives from other municipalities. And just like in our own council, we don't always see eye to eye. Those relationships mean something, they're valuable. It is those relationships that I have built that make me the best candidate for the seat, that make me qualified to continue doing this for 4 more years. Those relationships are what help me represent the best interests of Cutler Bay. To listen with an open mind when opinions different from mine are offered, but to stand firm when our integrity is at stake. And if this sounds like generic commentary, I'm sorry, but I'm speaking sincerely. This is a hard job. It's 45,000 residents. Town governance matters. And you have to take it seriously. You cannot govern by social media. You can't govern on Facebook or Nextdoor. You have to do it face to face. You have to do it at the dais. You have to put in your blood, sweat, and tears, to quote one of my favorite historical figures. Thank you.